Well, first of all, what I would say is online learning is fun. I love the flexibility of it for students. I think that it's great that you can work whenever you want. You can work at night, on weekends, at your own pace, which is wonderful. But with that flexibility, even though that's great, comes time management skills. So you have to have some time management skills. And if you don't have those, then you need to maybe learn some of those time management skills through your teacher or your mentor. So if you take this class at school, that's wonderful that you have a dedicated time. But if you need to work at home, you need to make sure that you plan that in your day, like it's part of your homework assignment, that you work on your online class at home. It's real easy to start a class in September and think I have until January to get it done, forgetting that there's a lot along the way that you need to do. Not doing it the last few weeks of school, you can't complete a class like that. So time management is really, really key. And the other thing I think that goes along with time management is you need to work every day. Do a little bit every day, even if it's just answering discussion board posts or emailing your instructor, but do something every day, because that way you know that you're going to finish on time and you'll be in the habit of working on your class every day. You need to be very organized. That's a key, and that's a skill that I don't care how old you are. People need to be organized. They need to learn how to be organized. You need to work independently. So when you're in a face-to-face class, everybody's in the same class. Where if you're in a lab doing an online class, then you're taking a class on your own. You're on your own, which some people can feel a little lonely in that respect, but most kids really enjoy the fact they can work at their own pace. So there's definitely pros and cons, but way more pros than cons. You need to also be an advocate for yourself. And by that, I mean, if you have a question, you need to email your instructor. That's what the instructors are for. When I was a part-time instructor, kids would apologize for emailing me so much. And I kept telling them, that's what you need to do. That's what I'm here for. So be an advocate. When you don't understand something, ask your instructor. Or if you have other students in your school that are taking the same course, it's really nice to get together with them and help each other out. The biggest thing I think before you start an online class is to make sure that you are academically ready to take the class, because you do need the time management skills. You do need to learn how to work independently. You do need to be organized. You do need to have good reading and writing skills, because that's what you're going to be doing in your online class. But overall, if you're prepared for your online class, it'll be a wonderful experience. Like I said, with that flexibility of being able to work as fast as you want or as slow as you want, going back over things. It's really a wonderful experience for students. Well, the first thing I say is to start slow and read everything. That's key. So many students want to dive in to the content, and I understand they really want to get going on their class, but it's really important to look over everything your instructor sends you, look over on Blackboard or whatever LMS you're using, to make sure that you understand how to use the program before you get into the content. It will make everything so much easier on how to submit an assignment and how to email your instructor, how to complete the discussion board. There's so many things, how to check my grades. You need to know all of those things before you get started in your content. So that's one thing that I tell the kids. You really need to take the first week or so and really get affiliated and feel comfortable in your class first. I also suggest that you print out the pacing guide that tells you what you should be doing from week to week. That's really, really huge. Print that out, know where you're supposed to be every week to have a plan. Remember, you don't have a teacher saying, this is due this week, as much as you do in a face-to-face. You're going to have a teacher giving you announcements and giving you some feedback. But it's not an everyday thing like you're used to in a face-to-face class. So it's really important that you have a guide of what you should be doing every week. Cross it off. It feels good to cross stuff off. And then that way you will progress on time, and you will get to the end of the semester and you will finish without having to panic because you have a whole lot of assignments to do. Because if you don't have a goal or an end in mind, it's hard to get there. So it's really nice to have that week by week guide. If you do work at home, and a lot of students do have to go home and work, Find a quiet place at home, not in front of the TV. It'll take you twice as long if you work in front of the TV or with other distractions in your house. It's nice to find a quiet room, a desk, a place that you can go every day and work for a short amount of time. I guarantee you that you'll work less if you work in a quiet area than if you work in a high traffic or in front of a television. It'll take you twice as long, if not more, to get done with your assignments. If you do take the class in school, I suggest you sit with students that are taking the same class. Even if you don't know them very well, it's really nice to be able to say, hey, how did you figure out how to do this discussion board? Or did you understand this assignment? It's really nice to have that dialogue because you don't have that teacher to raise your hand and ask questions. So that's really, really important. Get comfortable emailing your instructor. It's really important that when you do have a question, you email that instructor. That is what they're there for. They will get back with you as soon as they can, so then you can move on. But feel very comfortable. You really need to build that relationship with your instructor. That's very, very important. And it's also important to build that relationship with your mentor because the mentor can help you, and the mentor can also reach out to the instructor if you need more clarification. Communication skills is big. You need to make sure that you can read and write, that you can communicate with your instructor, that you can communicate with other kids in your class. You might be doing discussion board posts where you will be communicating with other kids. So it's really important that you do have good communication skills. I find that students don't mind communicating with kids online. It's a little less scary than standing up in class to communicate. So online, I feel like students almost communicate more and communicate better online because they don't have to feel like everyone's looking at them. Because as a former high school teacher, that's a scary thing for a student to have to stand up and talk in front of kids. But if in your peers especially, but if you're online, it just doesn't seem as scary. And so you might communicate more, which will be wonderful. The other thing that I encourage students to do is find resources. Find resources that will help you in your class. So if you're taking a world language class, find out where you can go if you don't know what a word means. If you're taking a math class, find out, can you use Khan Academy? Find resources ahead of time and ask your instructor, find resources ahead of time that will help you when you have problems in your class. And the last thing that I used to encourage students to do is if you have a big project, sometimes it's easy to divide those big projects into smaller ones, and then it doesn't seem like as big of an animal as when you read it the first time and think, holy cow, this is a huge project. Just break it down and break down like on Monday, I'm going to get this part done. On Tuesday, I'm going to get this part done. It just seems a little bit more feasible to get it done if you do break it down into smaller parts. Well, online learners need to be self-motivated. You have to want to do well in your class, and you will do well in your class. You need to be organized. You need to be a self-directed learner. You need to be independent. You need to be a self-advocate. All those things make up a good online learner. You need a good, conducive working environment. If you're taking a world language, you need to have a quiet place where you can have headphones and listen to your teacher and be able to speak back into the microphone. And you just need a quiet area where you can concentrate on your class, whether it's at home or at school. But also, it's really important for the student to have a good relationship with their instructor. Because if they're comfortable with their instructor, just as they are with a face-to-face teacher, they're more apt to call them, text them, email them, do a Google Hangout with them or whatever to ask questions. And the more questions you ask, the more you're going to understand, which is really what we want. You know, we want you to understand what you're doing in class and do well. And I really believe that having supportive parents, having a supportive mentor, having a great relationship with your mentor and your instructor and your parents, all of those people are going to help you be successful. And when you have that many people helping you be successful, there's no way you're not going to be successful.